started it. Oh my goodness.
With
I have
that,
a question, Mayor.
yes,
I only see one person at a time. Is that the way we're set up now? So we can't see
No.
like everybody that's on here at one time?
I see
take your
everything.
cursor and move it to the upper right of your screen. And what should pop up is you get a view, and then you have speaker only, or you have a grid. Click on it, so the grid, and that should spread everybody out across your screen.
Okay, you say to the right?
Mine is in the
Upright.
upper right of my screen, going up towards the very top, and right underneath it is a button where it says view. And you can either click on the grid, or it says gallery view or speaker view if you click on it.
I have to move the cursor up and then it comes up.
Yeah, I don't, I mean, my stuff is at the bottom. It'll say participants, question and answer, share screen.
No, that's at the bottom. Isn't that at the bottom?
Yeah,
You need to go to the upper right.
what does it look like? What am I looking for? What does
You're
it look
looking
like?
for something that says view. Move your cursor around at the upper right.
Mine is showing speaker view, but yet I'm seeing everybody.
Yeah, so mine is saying speaker view, but I see everybody.
Okay, and I
Yeah,
keep mine on
grid.
gallery view so that everybody is the same size.
Mine says gallery.
If you're,
Alyssa, if you have a better instruction to offer Commissioner Bridges than I do, I'm happy for you to jump in.
It's what you said. It's in the upper right-hand corner. It should say speaker view, and then you can change it to gallery view.
Commissioner, I'm gonna try to take a picture of my screen. No, you can't. I can't see it. Oh, wait. Yeah, if you move the cursor up there, hang on, I'm gonna send it to you. There.
You know, I'm
Commissioner
okay with
Bridges,
just
for
seeing
your view,
whoever.
it should look like
I
three
just don't see
rows of
anything for me to
dots.
click.
7:04.
Yeah,
Okay, I'm just sending this to Commissioner Bridges, and I will, there we go. Hopefully
All right.
he'll be able to see that. So I'm going to call this meeting to order, and it is 7:04 p.m. and I would like to open the City of Oxford Board of Commissioners regular monthly meeting. Today is Tuesday, December 8th, 2020, and it is 7:04 p.m. and we are meeting via Zoom. And as such, the very first order of business is to do an oral roll call of the board. I am going to I was going to start with Mayor Pro Tem, but it looks like he's gone off my screen. So I'm going to start right next to me. To my left is Commissioner Gilreath. Are you here?
Yes, present.
Okay. And then Commissioner Bullock,
Present.
Commissioner Fields,
Present.
Commissioner Tovey,
present.
Commissioner Bridges,
Present.
Commissioner Kern.
Present.
Okay, I am looking for Mayor Pro Tem, and Alyssa, before I continue, do you see him? And or am I correct that he is not on at this time?
He got kicked off. He's in the process of trying to get back on, and as we speak.
Okay, so we'll continue on, and I would like to go ahead and read our mission, which is that the City of Oxford, the mission of the City of Oxford is to serve and improve our community by providing high quality, affordable services, sound planning for growth and development, and offering the highest possible quality of life while maintaining the public's trust through open communication and ethical standards at all times. And with that, I would like to invite Reverend Chris Aho of Oxford Baptist Church for those who are so inclined to open our meeting in prayer. And thank you and welcome to our meeting, Reverend Aho.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, and let's have prayer together. Eternal God, during this darkest month of the year and darkest season of the year, and even during the dark days that we feel like we're having because of the pandemic and every other thing that concerns us these days, we still are a people who seek light. In our places of worship, we adorn our sanctuaries and our temples and our gathering places with light to point to the light. In our homes, inside and outside, we decorate with light in defiance of the darkness. On the streets of our community, we put up light to spark joy, to incite hope. However, we know that merely lighting a candle, merely putting up bulbs and plugging into the electrical grid, merely adorning trees and homes and streets is not enough. The light we need to embody, experience, and express to one another is not just about bulbs and candles. Therefore, I ask you tonight that as community leaders, those elected and those hired, those who are here as they are concerned, those who are here representing some part of our community, all of us, help us to use our positions of influence to bring light to our neighbors and to our community, to those in need. Help us not just to settle for the decorations. May we push to what those decorations point us to. May we give lights of hope and of justice, of peace and of resilience, of joy and of grace and of love to all who need it through the systems we manage and through the relationships we maintain. Lord, this is a big ask. It is a high call. Yet we realize that we won't be satisfied until we do that. So help us tonight to do it. Help us each day that lies ahead to do it. And help us to bring the light to our community. It's in your holy and eternal name we pray these things tonight. Amen.
Amen. Oh, Reverend Aho, thank you so much for gracing our meeting tonight with your presence and your words. We appreciate that greatly. And at this time, I would like to ask Commissioner Gilreath to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And I believe Alyssa will display the flag on the screen.
I'll stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic
For which it
stands one
one
nation,
under God,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
justice
and justice for all.
for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Gilreath. At this time, I'll consider any adjustments to an approval of the agenda. We've not had any adjustments distributed tonight, but is there any other adjustments? Are there any other adjustments that anyone would like to suggest? If not, then I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as written.
motion to adopt the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Curran. Any discussion? Okay, with that, I'll do the roll call. I still do not see Mayor Pro Tem online. So I'll start to my left. Commissioner Gilreath.
What are we
Commissioner
doing?
we have to vote to adopt the agenda.
Thank you. I agree. That's fine. Yes.
Commissioner Bullock,
Yes.
Commissioner Fields,
Yes.
Commissioner Tovey,
Yes.
Commissioner Bridges,
Yes.
Commissioner Curran,
Yes.
and we still do not have Mayor Pro Tem, so that motion carries 6-1, and the agenda stands adopted. This time we discuss whether or not there is a conflict of appearance. In order to provide for highest standards of behavior and transparency in governance, our board has approved a code of ethics to establish guidelines for ethical standards and to provide guidance in determining appropriate conduct. Among those that we should avoid impropriety in the exercise of our official duties and conduct the affairs of the board in an open and public manner. I now inquire whether any board member knows of any conflict of interest or appearance of such with respect to any matters before the board at this time. If you do, please state so. Okay, let the record note, no conflicts of interest. And at this time, under delegations, we have our esteemed Police Chief Al Coley to present the crime report to us. And so, Chief, the floor is yours.
Okay, let me see if I can share the screen with you and we'll get started if I can. Let's see. Okay, crime index for 2020 was released in November, and let's see. Okay, in the Uniform Reporting Statistics, and this is the purpose of them putting it out. It's been out since 1930 for local, state, county, tribal, and federal law enforcement agencies. We voluntarily participate in it, and it's Uniform Crime Reporting. The FBI, which administers the program, periodically releases crime statistics to the public. The UCR crime statistics are used in many ways and serve many purposes. They provide law enforcement with data for use in budget formulation, planning, resource allocation, assessment of police operations to help address the crime problem at various levels. Chambers of Commerce and tour agencies examine these data to see how they impact a particular geographic jurisdiction they represent. And criminal justice researchers study the nature, cause, and movement of crime over time. Legislators also draft anti-crime measures using the research findings and recommendations of law enforcement administrators, planners, as well as public and private entities concerned with crime problems. The news media use crime statistics provided by the UCR program to inform the public about the state of crime as it compares to the national level. Because of concerns regarding the proper use of UCR data, the FBI has the following policies. The FBI does not analyze, interpret, or publish crime statistics based solely on a single dimension interagency ranking. The FBI does provide agency-based crime statistics to data users in a ranked format. When providing using agencies-oriented statistics, the FBI cautions and in fact strongly discourages data users against using rankings to elevate locales or the effectiveness of their law enforcement agencies, promoting responsible crime analysis. And the biggest thing that we're trying to take away from this is that, like I said in the years past, crime is multifaceted. It involves law enforcement and it also involves community stakeholders and the residents of the community. So any gains that we have that are positive is not solely completed by the police department. Just as any time there's diminishes in the numbers that we're looking at, that's not solely law enforcement. It's a community, it's a culture thing. It's something that we try to effectuate. However, we do use it as far as trying to determine where we are and how we're moving and what we can do to keep moving in a better direction. Because there again, if you're a victim of a crime, it doesn't matter what any of these statistics say. you still feel the pain of it. And therefore we are obligated and we owe it to you to give our best effort. Now, right here, this is just the City of Oxford 27, your total Part 1 crime index. And there again, I kind of take us back from the beginning so that we can see where we, if you don't know where you're coming from, you may not know where you're going. So we kind of get a chance to look and see where we were as far as all the way back to 1993. And then as we move forward, if we look at the bottom numbers, our crime index is 794, 711, 785, 882, 836, 821, 777, 901, 835, 686, 811. So we kind of see a pattern there. We kind of see where we are, we ebb and flow. And then as we continue into 2006, leading up to 2019, there again, we see our total crime index 759, 743, 737, 732, 784, 806, 685, 660, 665, 649, 636, 478, 477, and 322. There again, we're happy that our crime statistic, as you can see, we look like the trend is moving from the 900 and 800 from years past. As of recently, it's moving from the 700 and 600s to the 400s. And this year, not this year, but in 2019, we had 322. We're pleased with the overall number, but there again, in our violent crime, in comparative to the 2017 and 18, there was an increase. Normally you look at it kind of like in 3-year increments or 5-year increments to kind of determine where a trend lies. So we can't really say that a trend is back on the upward swing. However, we did have an extraordinary year in 2019 with 4 homicides. And whenever you have 4 compared to the year before in 2018, when you had 0, that's a tremendous jump. Therefore, it affects your numbers greatly. Knock on wood, this year, thus far, we've had 1 homicide. So there again, we look at it, we don't try to look at it a case by case. We try to look at things overall to see where the trends. Now, one area in which we are particularly happy in is if you look at burglaries. That's something we had 31 in 2019 compared to 98, 95, as far as in 2008, 303. So, and the thing that affects that greatly is you will be amazed at how many burglaries one person can pull off. So it's trying to identify these different criminals and getting them arrested, and it helps greatly. It affects your numbers tremendously. So evidently we have captured some of the right people and removed them from our community, and it's showing. And those are the things that we're going to keep striving to do. As we look at this is a bar graph to just show the crime index a little more. As you can see in the blue, violent crime, 2017, 2018, 19, it has increased some, but then when you look at it comparatively to 2016, 2015, and 14, we're still under that. So we're doing good in that area. Now, as far as the property crimes, as you can see, we had a tremendous drop, and we hope to continue that. And overall, our crime index is at its lowest point it's been. So we hope to make this the new trend and also reduce the violent crime trend and keep heading in the right direction. This is another graph that kind of shows it in a different format where you can see over 1993 through 2019, the trend of our crime, our Part 1 crimes as it's been displayed. So you can see the tremendous drop off of the property crimes. Also with the violent crimes, you can see it kind of ebbs and flows. Basically, it's from 2017 to 19, it's in an upward trend still, but it's still below, as you can see, from 2007 to 2011, 12 or so. And comparatively, from years past, as far as 1995 and 96, you can see where it was and where we are now. So we're still in a pretty good place. Again, when you look overall, and that's something that businesses and people that's looking to move to Oxford, they look at and they like to see that index, that crime index lower. And the trend that we're on right now compared to the earlier years, we're in a good trend. But we want to do all we can to maximize what we can as far as our officers, as far as the community, engaging with the community, as far as building the support. I mean, it goes from employment to education to homeowners and homeowners associations. It just takes everybody to work in together to keep this trend going. And like we always say, if you see something, say something, and we're going to try to be responsive as possible to the issues. But the thing that drives us most and the things we put priority on, of course, is the violent crimes and trying to also address these larcenies and property crimes too. So that's what we have, and that's the presentation. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Colleagues, is there anyone that would like to ask anything of our chief? And obviously, thank you very much, Chief. This is great information. It looks like Commissioner Tovey would like to ask something.
Yes, Chief. How much of the decline in burglaries and larcenies is due to homeowners' alarms and things like that? Do you have numbers on that?
No, sir, I don't. I would have to say the popularity of Ring and the different social media platforms are playing a role in it. I see often, just the other day, I saw on Nextdoor where someone posted a suspicious person, and those type of things, it alerts and keep everybody on their toes, especially during this time of the year where we have some people trailing UPS or Amazon drivers stealing packages and things like that. But to have a definitive number, I don't have as far as how many homeowners have burglar systems or Ring or something to that effect.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very
I have
much.
a question,
Commissioner
Chief.
Bridges.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Chief, do you think that the change in property crimes might have a little bit to do with the pandemic, in that, you know, a lot of people are hunkering down and you know, with things not being so open, folks just being at home more often?
No, sir. These numbers are from January 1, 2019 through December 31st, 2019, pre-pandemic.
Okay.
But I will follow up on Commissioner Bridges' question. Have you all noticed, or is it too hard to tell day to day if there's any kind of a difference or an association this year, pandemic related, as compared with last year? Is it?
I don't have the numbers right before me. We do look at it monthly. There's been a slower, I think it will affect, the pandemic will affect it with people being at home and reduce some of the numbers. However, things like domestics and you have other incidences that increase by people being at home and being around each other for longer periods of time. So it's a trade-off. But as far as property crimes, it'll probably be a bit more of a decrease with pandemic going on and people being at home. But look at your assaults, they'll probably go up.
Thank you. Commissioner Gilreath, do you have a question?
No.
No? Okay, I just saw your screen light up. Does anybody else have anything that they would like to ask Chief Coley? Okay, yes, sir, John. Commissioner Toby.
Just one other question. How are we getting on with as far as recruiting, Chief?
Our recruitment is we have 2 in school. Well, we have 6 in school that'll be graduating. We have 2 graduating in December, I think December 17 or 18, and then we have 4 that'll be graduating, I believe, the first week of January. So we're looking on board them. We have 1 officer that we hired with 16 years of experience, former Durham County Sheriff Deputy, and then we have another former Durham County Deputy that we have in the final phases of his hiring. However, it's still a moving target. We have some people that are interested in the next school that's coming up in January at Vance Granville. That's where most of them are, but we have some outside interests that will be attending at different locations. But all the basic schools start around the beginning of the year. So hopefully we'll have about 3 applicants that we can put in and our labor in June or so. However, we still had a challenge of retaining our officers is a big hurdle.
Right.
You just hear different things of, officers for various reasons. Some of them, like say, look at 8 to 5. If they find a position they can find for 8 to 5, they're looking at that. Some of them, like say, I've had 2 this year that left law enforcement altogether. They just didn't like the way law enforcement was headed. And I had some to leave that told me, and I meet with each and every one of them, that pay was an issue. So we got different challenges. We're trying to address them as we can and provide the best services that we can. The ones that we have on board are dedicated. They're well-trained. We're constantly doing what we can to support them as far as training, as far as mentoring, as far as coaching. But the state of law enforcement, it's just the state of law enforcement right now. We're all robbing from Peter to pay Paul, sort of. So it just gets to the point where these officers have an opportunity to say, hey, if I can make $1,000 more at another agency, I will. And that's just the plight of law enforcement right now. So we're in there. We got some resources on the way, and hopefully we'll have them trained and on the road shortly. And we'll try to retain the ones that we can the best we can. And we're having open dialogue with them. And I know the city manager is tired of me being in his office, but we just keep on having discussions, trying to do the best we can with what we have. And that's the end of the day. The thing I try to express to all the officers, law enforcement is a calling. And you try to look at that, and the loyalty that goes with it is 2 ways. We expect our officers to be loyal to the department and the city and the people they serve. And in return, officers looking for loyalty and knowing they have a good place to work and security and advancements in which they can have in the incoming or upcoming years. So
can't disagree with that, Chief.
So we're working. So I just say, y'all probably hear me come to y'all for more and more, but it's not in a manner of coming to more for greed. It's in a manner of just coming to remain competitive amongst the other agencies in which we have to struggle to keep our people and to recruit. And at this recruitment period, I went out further this year recruiting than I've ever been. And I still have, we have 2 other people, I forgot the name, that are in our background phase. So we're getting to a point where I got to make sure I have enough training officers for the people that we're about to hire. And that's a good dilemma to be in a sort of way. But I'll be glad when we get past this dilemma and just start holding on to some good officers.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Chief, you mentioned that pay was one of the things that was affecting retention. Are there any other issues other than salary that is causing problems with retaining officers?
Well, we look at, there's been pay, there's been issues of take-home vehicles. There's been, as of late, just talking with the guys, and there again, I know when they can tell me one thing and then tell someone else something else. I've seen that, but for the most part, we got a good communication with our department now, and I believe that the guys are being honest. I know just recently, one officer approached and was telling me how he's a supervisor and he can go somewhere else, a neighboring city, and make $1,000 less as an officer than he's making right now as a supervisor. And those are the struggles that are real, and that we're just trying to show every opportunity. You compare our department as far as training, we're one of the best trained. We spend more effort and money and resources in training officers than a lot of departments that I speak to their chiefs or sheriffs. And however, at the end of the day, they're looking for competitive salaries, and they're looking for, our fleet management. I think we've done good this year. I think the approval of the FTO program, that's been a plus, because a lot of agencies use that. So that's something else that I can advertise with. But when it comes to some issues, I had a gentleman that just moved to Rectory Street, and he's a current Durham officer. And I don't want to say his name, but I don't know. I don't want his boss to be listening and get upset with him. But he came and talked to us, and he was asking about the different benefits that we have. He was asking about annual raises. He was asking, that we have something for a 2-year? What you get if you have a 2-year? What if you get if you have a 4-year? Where would he be? He said, if I stay at your department, how long will it take me to reach top pay? Those are the type of issues that we're struggling against, because if we only receive a COLA at different times, but other agencies are receiving steps, then comparatively 5 years from now, they're going to be well ahead of where we are now. So that becomes a struggle. So we just are constantly evaluating and trying to reevaluate where we are and what we can do. And there again, like I said, the best time, like I had a promotion today of a corporal, and he was elated. And I know if I really go into it and look at that moment, if I was to take a snapshot of that time and speaking with his father and with his mother, and they telling me how much he loved the PD, that's one scenario. But then on his exit interview, that may be a completely different scenario. So I don't want to catch them between their highs and lows. And what I ask each of you to do is, when you see our officers out in the street on an ordinary day, just stop and have that conversation with them, engage them, and find out what their thoughts are and what their concerns are. Because I'm preaching from one pulpit, and I don't want it to seem like this is my only conversation I have with the board, I have with the manager, but hear it from the officers, because those are the ones that it's affecting. And whenever, just like last night, we had a attempted armed robbery. Well, after working over yesterday, I came out last night to work with the guys, and that's something I've done and the command staff do, and we continually do. But we also care about our total numbers of officers that we have out, and we're struggling, and we're trying to arrange shifts and make sure we have coverage adequately, not only for the citizens' protection, but for our own officers' protection. And all of that is a big conversation that we must indulge in to ensure that we are doing the best that we can to have the safest police department, providing the best services that we can. And right now, I think if you hear from the officers directly, and I think it adds credence to what I'm saying, and not so much, you know, afterwards or after they depart, but the officers that are here now, because there's a different temperament in this police department. There's a different, I guess, esprit de corps. And these officers now, we have some good young talent, sergeants and corporals that are really good. And I want to see them stay and be here long after, many years after I'm gone from being the chief here, where these same officers are moving up the ranks and still providing services because they connected with the city. And I appreciate some of the partners. We have Autumn Park and we had the Lynx. They reached out to us with knowing that we have officers coming on board. Lieutenant Stockwell went out and met with them, and they've been receptive and working with us, trying to find these people, these young officers, places to stay inside the city. So those are the type of things that we're doing to try to recruit and retain them, and hopefully it'll pay off down the road. Hopefully it will. So,
right. Thank you.
Excellent.
Appreciate
Thank you
it.
very much. Anybody else have any further questions for Chief Coley?
I would just like to make a comment, please, Mayor.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, and I did want to acknowledge that you had signed on during his presentation. I apologize. I was so engrossed in listening, but please make your comment.
It's okay. I was having connection issues, so I apologize. I want to thank the chief, and I hope that he will convey to his officers the appreciation that we have. All of us on this line have been affected some way or another by COVID. And I can't imagine walking out the door every day and not knowing if you're going to return or not. So thank you so much, Chief, and if you'll convey that to your officers.
yes, sir. Thank you. And that's something we've been struggling with too. Our COVID issues. We've had officers that have contracted COVID, and we've been working around that. And then I had them going to training, wearing masks, and then once you had that exposure, the person that was with them, you had to quarantine them. And this has been a scheduling nightmare. But we're still, if I look a little tired in the eyes, it's because I am. But we've been pushing and coming out and working the best we can to address the various issues, all the way from traffic, shoplifters, to supporting the parade. And by the way, that was an excellent parade. I heard a lot of great comments about it, and my guys enjoyed it thoroughly. But, you know, we're just still trying to do the things we need to do to support the city.
Thank you, Chief. Pat, Commissioner Fields, did you just raise your hand?
Yes, Chief Coley, because of the COVID and juveniles out of school, and have you seen an increase in any juvenile activity due to their restlessness or inability to get with their friends? Any increase in that?
Somewhat. I don't think it's been extremely high with the juveniles. We did have a juvenile today, a couple of juveniles trying to kick in a door, and our officers responded. And of course, they were running and had left the scene prior to our arrival, and we arrived in just a couple of minutes. But other than that particular incident, there's not any that really stand out that I can think of. But there again, we're trying to engage more. I know the Boys and Girls Club had an event this weekend in which our officers attended, and we're just trying to engage them in good settings, as well as whenever something's going wrong, and trying to get over and patrol the basketball courts, as well as, you know, just meet them on their terms and try to make that contact.
To piggyback with what Mayor Pro Tem said, please convey to your officers our deep appreciation for everything that they do. Yes, and ma'am. To the families and to their families.
I will. Thank you.
Thank you very much, commissioners. I just have one last question and certainly agree with everybody that we appreciate the hard work that everybody's doing, and the statistics are truly impressive. Looking at what contributes to violent crime, it definitely looks like the uptick that we've seen has been due to assaults. And I was wondering if you could just break that down a little bit in terms of, is that primarily domestic violence situations? What makes up the category of assaults, and what do you think? Do you have any thoughts about what's going on there?
In the assaults, they range from domestics to a lot of them are drug related. Just calling it like it is. Domestics are part of it, but a lot of it is just people making bad choices. I mean, that's what it boils down to, making bad choices. And anytime we see large gatherings, we're cautious of it because we know how quickly you see 10 guys hanging out, and before you can make the block good, there's some type of verbal or physical altercation, and now we're having to take a report. So we try to not impede upon people's right to convene or anything like that, but we want to make sure that it's in a peaceful manner. But most of the assaults and different things are amongst people that know each other, and therefore it's kind of hard to, they're not just random assaults. Normally the people that get involved in these things, they know each other, and there's some type of misunderstanding or beef that goes on that contributes to it.
And it just gets out of control, and that's when you all get involved.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Well, we certainly appreciate that. And with that, we will go forward unless there are one last call for any other further comments or discussion with Chief Coley. This has been excellent. Does anybody else have anything to add? Okay, then we will move forward, and thank you, Chief. To the public comment portion of our agenda, I believe former Mayor and Commissioner Al Woodliff is online to make a comment. And he said earlier that he had to connect outside his house. I hope, Mr. Woodliff, you have not frozen to death out there.
It's 32 degrees outside. I feel like I'm at Webb High School doing a football game, but good evening to you and all the board members and all the staff. I am Al Woodliff. I live at 211 Gray Street here in Oxford, and I am asking you all this evening to help me out with the speeding here on Gray Street. Gray Street is in the older section of Oxford. We have a lot of old people that pass away, and young people are now buying their homes, and we're very diversified. We have blacks, whites, Latinos, Asians. All the kids play together well, and that is the problem because they are in the street. And people are using this as a cut through. And I downloaded an app on my phone. It was a radar app. Most of them are around 40 miles an hour. I had one yesterday afternoon at 75, but I don't need the speed sign because nobody pays any attention to that on a short street like this. And as the chief was telling you, and I've discussed this with him and the manager, as shorthanded as they are, if you bring a car over here with police on it, any fool's going to slow down when he sees that. Maybe an unmarked, but they don't have the personnel. So as much as I've hated over 30 some years speed bumps, I'm asking that the city allow me to place a speed bump in front of my house, not in front of somebody else's. And if you don't have the funds to buy it, I will buy it, and you just supervise how I put it up. I'd like for you not to go through the time it would take through the Public Safety Committee. The laws are in place, the speed limits are in place, and I just like permission for you to give the manager and maybe Dud to make sure it's installed right, and to let me do this because it is an issue. And I'm telling you, when you do get these people to stop, it's very unpleasant because you have more MFs put on you in 5 seconds and I could do in an hour. And it's dangerous for me to do that, and other people on the street that have tried it. So I do ask that you will consider this tonight to just let the manager and maybe Doug Frazier, just, if you approve me doing this. I've got them. They're the rubber ones. They're black with yellow stripes. And that is my request to the board this evening. So with that, I hope all of you have a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas.
Commissioners, is this something that you want to discuss now? We do have a very short agenda. So there's only one item before the consent agenda, so we can discuss it now. We can wait. We can ask the chief and the manager. What is the pleasure of the board?
And I would also like to say that if we could have been there live, I could have had just about everybody on the street there.
Thank you.
Could what
Yes,
is the manager's thoughts on this? I don't disagree with the speed bump if it's needed. If it's needed, I don't. Let's see what the manager says.
Well, since I've been directly asked, I'll chime in. Typically, these types of scenarios have gone through your public safety committee for review. We've had one recently out on, Chief, what's the rolling, I forgot the name of the street out there, that was essentially denied. And I think that, what I don't want to get into is making that very quick and snap decision tonight. I understand Mr. Woodley's concern. I do. I'd love to have a speed device in front of my house. But, these issues that we're looking at don't just involve one person. They involve the entire city. And quite honestly and quite frankly, I would hate to create a situation where you grant that permission and you're going to have multiple requests for doing the exact same thing all over town if you're not careful. So it needs to be looked into just a little bit to evaluate the necessity of it and determining whether or not it is something that the board wishes to do. I would allow staff input, including the chief of police and public works director, just like you've done with others in the past, and go through that process. And I know that's probably not what Mr. Woodley wants to hear, but that has been your normal process.
I don't disagree with that. I'm a member of that committee. Commissioner Bridges is the chairman of that committee. I don't know whether maybe early next year we could have a meeting to discuss this.
Commissioner Bridges?
Yeah, I don't have a problem having a meeting. But it seems like, every time we talk about slowing folks down with stop signs or speed bumps, and we try to do a meeting and try to do it in the way that it ought to be done, there's criticism. Because I too agree with the manager that, somebody with some level of expertise ought to go over there and take a look. Because I know there are issues relative to ambulances and access to emergency vehicles. And, we just want to make sure that if we're going to put some kind of device like that, it ought to be evaluated by our police chief and or, folks, other folks on our staff.
Any
And I don't
other
have a
comments?
problem calling a meeting to discuss it, soon.
Let me add one more thing. We will, go ahead and initiate that process of looking at it prior to that meeting scheduling, just to try to expedite it as much as we can internally to get that information to you when you do meet. so that you can make a decision. But you know, it's not just the laying down of a speed bump. Typically when these things are done, or speed control device, whatever you want to call them, there's signage required. There are a number of other things, because you know, you hit one of those things coming through there at 70 miles an hour, whatever it is, and it's not pretty. And then we have people, I've been through this before in other places where I've worked, you have people calling the city and saying that it broke my axle and busted my rim and all those kind of things, and expecting the city to pay for it. So, you know, it does bring a few things on that we need to take into consideration and look at. But, you know, we won't drag our feet, and we'll start looking into it as quickly as we possibly can in preparation for that meeting to take place.
Thank you.
Excellent. So you'll have staff look into it and then get back with Commissioner Bridges about setting up a meeting before we start discussing when to have a meeting. Am I understanding that correctly, Mr. Thornton?
Yes, we'll begin looking into it immediately and communicate that with the chairman of the Public Safety Committee.
Excellent. Thank you. Any other members of the board have any questions or comments on this item at this time? Okay, and I would like to just make one that is related
Teresa had her
to,
hand up.
yes, ma'am. Was that Commissioner Fields?
Teresa, Commissioner Geary had her hand up, but she's
Oh,
muted.
okay, I apologize, Commissioner. I'm so sorry. Please say what's on your mind.
Well, one comment is that speeding seems to be an issue in our city. And is it directly attributed to the lack of police personnel to intervene at some level? Because I have the exact same thing just turning into my own driveway. I've seen times when I would actually bypass my driveway to prevent being rear-ended by someone coming from the Food Line store, or coming around that little, it's somewhat of a blind curve and a hill, coming through there, and speeding is an issue throughout our city. I don't care which street it is. So does that mean every citizen that has an issue with speeding can request a speed bump? Man, that would be a major impediment to just a free flow of traffic around here. I mean, but anyway, I mean, so there has to be better solutions to the speeding thing, because it's everywhere.
So it looks like
Yep.
we'll have a lot to discuss in a public safety meeting.
Madam Mayor, could I say one last thing before I leave?
Yes, sir.
This is not a major thoroughfare through my street. Mostly people that live on this street travel this street, except those that use it as a shortcut that are causing the problem. And those people are 5 or 6. No, I agree. I hate speed bumps. Sitting in your seats, I have shook my head a million times, but I could understand this being on a major road, but this is a very quiet street with a few maniacs at 4 or 5 that come down it twice a day, wide open. So, if you could send an unmarked police car over here and they write a few tickets, maybe it'll stop it. I don't want to buy the speed bumps, but I'll buy them, if the city won't put them down, but I can't put them down unless you tell me I can. So I hope that you will look into this and consider where the streets that these problems are occurring on, because as the commissioner just stated, Ms. Gilbert, speeding, loud noise, loud music, mufflers, they do it because they're getting away with it. And there's no other explanation for it. I don't know if it's because we don't have the personnel to stop them. I heard that the magistrates were just kicking it out, but I see a long line of people standing around at the courthouse paying something. So again, I thank you for your time, but please don't look at this as a main thoroughfare. This is a short little old street over in West Oxford that old people and now some young people have come with some children. And I'd hate for one of them to get run over, because once that child gets run over, you may have another one to pick up when the parent does something to the driver, because it is getting a little touchy over here in the mornings and at lunchtime and in the afternoon. And so, as I said, I have been cussed out by many of them, and it doesn't do any good. And if you come by here, this is with 2 cars parked and a car running that fast, you'll see how dangerous it is. So I thank you all for your time, and y'all have a good Christmas and good night.
Thank you very much,
And I'd
sir.
like to add in, Mayor,
Yes,
the police, we have responded, and there again, I appreciate former Commissioner Woodley seeing something and saying something. And we immediately deployed some officers over, and they have been working Grace, the street, and which is in the topic tonight. Just like with the stop signs, we put the stop signs up the other week, and we monitored the sign. I even went out there to the stop sign. There were some violations, and wrote some warning tickets and talked to the people who live in that community. It happened to be a few drivers that actually lived in the area, and they were saying that it was something new. And we explained to them that we were giving warnings initially just for that purpose, so that everybody could make an adjustment to it. But we're constantly working it, and it's sort of those our patrol is set up where it's kind of driven by just what we're doing tonight. When we have phone calls come in and people coming in, and I do it, ask that Commissioner Gilbreth that if it's a particular road or area that you see, let us know. We try to be there as often as possible. But during this COVID period right now, where everybody's trying to go to McDonald's and cook out and everywhere else, we're having a lot of incidences in those places in which requires priority, and we'll go over there. But then during times in which, and it may not be the peak time that we can make it out there to monitor traffic as you see fit. However, it's an opportunity where we are still trying to get out there. We may be responding to other calls and whatnot, but we're still working traffic, and we're here. And of course, as we get more members trained up and onboarded, we'll see a difference, because I have some traffic hawks. Unfortunately, 2 of my traffic hawks went to the highway patrol where they work traffic every day. So it's different things like that where we just try to make adjustments, and we are currently working that area, and we're monitoring the speed and we're enforcing it. As far as what the magistrates are doing, I've heard that too, that some of them are not, they're finding no probable cause on some of those charges. And but that's neither here nor there. We feel that it's warranted, and we're going to be professional, and we're going to enforce the law that's in the satisfaction of our community and that strives to give us better quality of living, as far as not listening to loud mufflers or loud music. But there again, just like anything else, it ebbs and flows. And right now, I think our crime index showed that we have been putting some emphasis in the right places. And that's why we're getting some of the results that are, again, not just solely by ourselves, but we're getting some of the results because we are doing it the right way. And of course, if we got those other things that we can focus on, because I hear it too, when I be home sleeping and I hear that boom, 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 and it wakes me up too. So I'm not immune to it. So we're out there, and personally, I'm out there too with my guys, swinging just as hard as we can. And there again, just help me to keep them. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. And I have 2 comments, if possible. One is very a unique approach, but seeing what Commissioner Woodliff said about Grace Street being, I'm assuming it's a city street, it's not a main thoroughfare. And we know that obstacles can slow things down. Is this completely cockeyed to think, what if we put a pedestrian crosswalk in the middle of the road and then put a little, one of those little traffic things, and said, until all of a sudden on a day-to-day basis, it's not a permanent installation. The crosswalk is is painted, but you've got that little divider in the middle that says you got to stop for pedestrians, that would make people slow down.
Sounds anything. But right now, what we're doing is parking right off the gutter, the truck across from me and my car. And the only problem is on garbage day, you have to move because the garbage truck and the school buses have problems getting through. And so, but they will slow down for that. But when no cars are parked side by side on either side of the street, it's a raceway over here. So anything would be appreciated. And I'm going to have the pneumonia or whatever. Good night, everybody.
Good night. Good night. And my last
Mayor,
comment. Yes,
can I
sir.
just say this? I, as opposed to putting up something about a pedestrian crossing, the officers could put one of those speed monitoring devices, you know, that says to folks what their speed is, and you know, I think something like that would be a better approach. I think to put up a pedestrian crossing sign when it really is not a pedestrian crossing sign might not be the best approach. You know, if the chief can put an officer over there, you know, to monitor some things every once in a while, or we could put a sign up there that tells folk what their speed is, I think that would probably be a better approach.
Okay, and thank you, sir. And I just was trying to throw that out there. And one other comment, I believe in France, when they do put speed bumps in, they are large enough to be an impediment for passenger cars, but they are smaller than the axle on fire trucks. I don't know if the axle on EMS, on ambulances, is larger, but I thought that was an interesting, I don't know how we do it here, but I wanted to throw that out for something to ponder to see if that makes a difference for first responders. So with that, any further comments from anybody? Okay, then we move forward to city business, which is pretty straightforward. Consider adopting the agenda and regular board meeting dates for 2021. The city is continuing the practice of setting the agenda and regular board meeting dates for the coming year, and you have those dates in your packet in attachment 4A, and it shows 3 dates: June 1st, July 6th, and Tuesday, September 7th, all as dates that have been adjusted because of the holiday for agenda meetings. And so what is the pleasure of the board?
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Tovey. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion signal so, well, no, I got to do the roll call. I'm sorry. Mayor Pro Tem, what say you?
Aye.
Okay, we have aye from Mayor Pro Tem. Commissioner, starting at my right, Commissioner Bullock.
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Fields.
Aye.
Commissioner Tovey.
Aye.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Commissioner Curran.
Aye.
Commissioner Gilreath. Okay, that motion carries unanimously. Very straightforward. Please approve the following. Consent agenda is to accept the November finance report by our finance director, Hak Ung, and approve the 2020 meeting minutes for November 2nd, the agenda meeting, and November 10th, the regular meeting. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to accept.
Oh, that was a multiple motion by Commissioners Fields and Bullock. Any discussion? Okay, I'll do the roll call. Mayor Pro Tem.
Aye.
Commissioner Bullock.
Yes.
Commissioner Fields.
Aye.
Commissioner Tovey.
Aye.
Commissioner Bridges.
Aye.
Commissioner Curran.
Aye.
Commissioner Gilreath. Commissioner Gilreath. Are you there?
November meeting? Yes, I'm here.
Uh-huh.
We're voting to approve the minutes for November's meeting.
Yes, ma'am, as well as to accept the November finance report from Hakang.
I can't find the November meeting minutes.
They were not sent out?
They were on an email, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, they were in an email.
Yes.
All right. I'm having trouble then. Okay. I'm good. I'll find them.
Okay. There you go. So that motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. And then I will go through and see if there are members of the board that have any comments. Mayor Pro Tem.
No, thank you. Good night. Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
Okay, you as well. Commissioner Bullock.
Yes, at the agenda meeting, I asked for an update on plans for the armory.
Mr. Thornton.
Yep, I'll be glad to touch on that once we get through with the board reports and it's my turn.
Okay, that's great. We'll do that. Commissioner Fields.
Yes, to the city manager, the families on Frost Street want to thank you for so quickly having the light put up. They're saying they're not afraid to get out of their cars or leave home at night now that they can see. I had a family on Lanier Street. They had no idea, but this lady called me Monday night. She's an invalid, and her son was trying to assist her in getting out of the house Sunday night. And it was extremely dark on Lanier Street. So just check that street out. And I would like to thank Cheryl Hard for such an informative report. Congratulate Mary Young on such an outstanding parade. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Tovey.
Yes, I just want to thank the chief for a great presentation. I think we understand a little bit more now, and hopefully we can get back to him with some positive feedback. Also to Mary and Christina and all the people at the City Hall. Wonderful, wonderful reverse Christmas parade. So thank you very much for all your hard work with that.
Excellent, thank you. Commissioner Bridges.
Yeah, I also want to thank the chief for his presentation. I think it's important for us to have clarification about our law enforcement and the folks who serve and protect us. They are an important part of our community, and we certainly need to consider things that need to be done to ensure that we have the best law enforcement officers and that we're able to hold on to them. I also want to congratulate Marion and certainly any individuals who were responsible for the reverse parade. I will have to admit, I was somewhat skeptical when I heard the term reverse parade. And it was quite cold out there, and it was rainy. And in the beginning, I said, how many cars are we going to have come by there? And then towards the middle and end, I was saying, please, no more cars. Because they just kept coming. But it was such a contrast with some of our neighbors, Franklin County, who had regular parades. And I heard in the news that they complimented Granville County, Oxford, for deciding to do the parade the way we did it, with social distancing and people staying in their cars safely in their cars, because we saw a lot of children. And I thought to myself about my grandbabies and how that was such a wonderful alternative to having all those babies together on the side of the road and safely in their family car. So, you know, kudos to our individuals who planned this reverse parade. And my wife was very happy to see us do that. And she was quite proud that we made the news and for that parade. And that just shows you Oxford uses wisdom in deciding what we do going forward.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Curran.
Yes, ma'am. First, comment that I'm glad that things worked out for Reverend Morton with Treasures of Joy. I think it was the results were good and the way it should have gone. I'd like to thank everyone that was involved in my controversial stop sign down here. The police, the street department, the board that voted for it, everybody. It's a little inconvenient, but it's inconvenient to all of us, me included. And but it's working. The person that was behind me asking for it told me 2 days later. He said, "I can see an improvement already." Like everybody else said, thanks to Mary and Christine for that parade. WRL came to Oxford looking for something bad. They wanted bad news and they didn't get it.
No, that's right.
They went back and reported good news. Other than that, Merry Christmas to everybody, the mayor, the board, city staff, all employees, and all the citizens of Oxford. And that's all I got.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Gilreath, definitely not last, but not least.
Well, you saved the best for last.
Yes, ma'am.
With regards to the last agenda meeting, I was asking about the CDBG COVID money and was wondering if there was an update on that, Cheryl.
Okay, well, there
Alan?
definitely was in her memorandum. There's a
Right.
report on both of the funds, both of the CDBG grant funds.
Well, it said it was received on November the 9th, and it said it was being reviewed. I was wondering if we've had any information since then.
No, I don't believe so. Cheryl can answer that, but I think she and I talked about it earlier this week or late last week. No, I don't anticipate anything until around the end of the year, if not early January.
Okay. And my other comment would be regarding to some water and sewer issues that I've actually reported. I am very, very thankful for the promptness of how the city employees and all that were involved with a sewer issue that was held in my neighborhood, as well as a major water main that was broken in Hilltop area, and it came flowing into my yard. And so I appreciate the prompt attention to making sure that that was corrected and fixed. And I am just amazed at how things get resolved around here as quickly as they do. So kudos to the water and sewer and Stevie and Doug. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Excuse me. I have a couple of things before we go on to the manager. And that is, yes, I too want to thank Mary and Christine and Chief Cottrell. There were so many people that worked on the parade, and all of our board members that showed up despite the weather and brought a lot of good cheer and goodwill. I have received nothing but positive comments. The community, I know we were all kind of wondering how this would unfold. And I was wondering whether we would have enough, because normally our parades are very, very, very long with a lot of entrants. But the amount of goodwill that has emanated from the community, people were just so grateful to have an opportunity to come out, that I don't think that any of us can express sufficiently how much we appreciate the work, the inventiveness on the part of staff to make this work out. And of course, the people that, in addition to us and the county board and the Human Relations Commission, but the other folks that came with floats and so on, that gave our community something to watch. And I had a question for Mary, if she's still there, which is that lineup of cars, how far back? I mean, all we saw is how many, they came through for about an hour and 15, 20 minutes. But I was wondering how far back down Hillsborough Street or Williamsboro Street it actually went.
So from the marker that we had on Spring Street, it went from Bell all the way to back to Spring and Williamsboro at 158. And then the goal was to have a second line. But when the traffic started moving, it just kept coming.
It just kept coming. So you don't know how far up Williamsboro Street the cars were in line?
No, I know that there was from Spring all the way to Williamsboro, but I don't know how far down Williamsboro it went.
Okay.
Because we didn't have a marker there.
Right. Well, you should feel very, 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 very proud. And in addition, and thank you, Mary. In addition, I'd like to also add congratulations and wow and bravo to Cheryl Hart for her report, which was just awesome. And like to comment that she didn't even include on it that she's been working weekly with a steering committee to review the Unified Development Ordinance. And so she's just done a tremendous job. And we know that Antoine Rice is always out there working hard, and she included some pictures there. And I had a question about that, which was, am I, Ms. Hart, are you there? I don't know if she's there, but my question was, I'm thinking that this area, this illegal dump site is behind Central Children's Home on that little road. Am I correct in that, Ms. Hart?
It's not owned by the Central Children's Home. It's adjacent to property that they own. It's the old
that's what
yard. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So yes, it's down in that curve.
Oh, that's what I thought. So my question is that, and obviously the job that you all did to get that cleaned up is outstanding. And I know that the county, or I feel certain that you all work together and they're grateful to you for your work there. What needs to be done to keep it clean?
Well, unfortunately, it seems like some visitors been coming by there already. But my suggestion is to put up signs saying, the areas being on camera surveillance. And also, we recommended that they put up concrete barriers. And we're also trying to get some other feedback from DOT, but it was a joint effort.
It's phenomenal.
And getting it cleaned up.
I know that I am not alone. I think it was Commissioner Fields who thanked you, but very impressive report, and it makes us all proud, every single bit of it. So thank you. Those are my comments, and now I'll turn it over to the manager to say whatever he wants and to respond to Commissioner Bullock's question.
Well, that could be dangerous if I say whatever I want, but I don't know that we'll get into too much of that. But you know, if you want to stop people illegal dumping, you'll need an armed guard. Couple of things tonight. I didn't say anything while the chief was doing his 2019 crime index report, but I hope everyone just understands and appreciates, you know, the significance in the decline in the crime in the last few years. I know that 2019 we had a spate of shootings, you know, that resulted in some of the violent crime, but that has since reduced since the police really focused and concentrated on the cause of some of that. And some of those individuals are now no longer with us. They're on Uncle Sam's dime and Uncle Sam's time at the moment. And we're certainly pleased and proud of that. And I want to add my voice to the board with saying thank you to the police department and the chief of police for everything that they have done and continue to do under very challenging circumstances, especially here in 2020. It's been a real challenge. It's been stressful, you know, to continue to come to work every day and to do the job. And it's not getting any better. And starting Friday, we'll get to enforce essentially a curfew beginning at 10 o'clock. So, you know, it's just going to continue to be a challenge, but we're professionals and we'll do everything that we can. And I'm sure that the chief of police will be sending those 2019 crime index statistics to roadsnacks.com as soon as tomorrow. And maybe they'll give us a little bit better report next time. All right.
Don't invite that.
Believe it or not, it is, we'll soon be in 2021. And getting close to getting into 2021, we need to start thinking about the planning of our retreat for 2021. So I know that's not much of a Christmas present for you all, but you know, we need to start thinking about that. And I already am. And upon the clerk's return from her illness, she and I will be working on a few dates for you to choose from and get that information out to the board, hopefully before the holidays, so you can start kind of mulling it over and comparing your schedules and what you have available. And we'll talk a little bit more about retreats, but now's the time to start thinking of such, and it will be upon us before we know it. I also want to thank everybody for their participation in the parade. Like Commissioner Curran said, there was a reason why WRAL was here. And, you know, if you saw their report, if you followed the newspapers, if you followed all of the regional news stations, they were looking to report something bad and something negative, and we didn't give it to them. Youngsville gave it to them. But, you know, it took a lot of pre-planning and thought. We've been working on this reverse parade for quite some time, and the concept of it, and trying to make sure that, you know, we did it the right way. And as the pandemic worsened, you know, we all started really not second guessing ourselves, but thinking of, you know, are we really doing the right thing? And we were convinced that we were. And couple of conversations that I had with Mary a month or so ago, and including up until last week, was, you know, prepare for a big crowd. I just expected that we were about the only game in town, certainly in this area, that was doing anything, and we were. I can tell you personally, I walked over here and walked from my house, and it was packed all the way back to 158. I spent 30, 40 minutes over here watching the parade, walking up and down, observing, and I walked back that way, and I walked all the way out to 158, and they were still lined up and coming. So not only that, there were people trying to get on from the side streets at Military and Bell and everything else. So it was very popular, and I think it was well received, and we got good news credit, or not credit, but good coverage on it. And if you're trying to build and promote your brand, that's one way to do it. So thank everybody for their participation and effort in that. And lastly, regarding the Armory, one of the things that we have done since we last had some conversation about the Armory, which was the museum, that's right. We have addressed the underground storage tank there. The underground storage tank has been filled and capped to meet state requirements. So we're good there as far as the underground storage tank. Any issues there, we've addressed those. I did mention to you at our agenda meeting last week that the following day we had a meeting scheduled to discuss a concept or an idea that I had for the utilization of the Armory. Unfortunately, that meeting got canceled that day. It is being rescheduled, and I really don't want to go into particulars of it here in a public meeting if I can get away with that, simply because of the other party involved. I don't want to speak for them or to give any indication of anything that is going to happen until, you know, we actually do sit down and meet. But what we are working on, I think, would be very well received. It would be something that would create utilization of the Armory. It would create people being there, people coming to downtown, people, you know, having the opportunity to buy gas and shop in our stores and eat at the restaurants and do all those kinds of things that I think everybody wants to see. Some activity at the Armory and serve a multifunctional purpose for that. So, you know, if I could, I would like to wait and report actually what that project may be until I can have that meeting with that other party. It got canceled, and I apologize for that. I'd love to tell you exactly what we're working on, and I'd be glad to do that one-on-one, but I really don't want to get into the particulars in an open public meeting until such time as that other party meets with me and we have that conversation. But they are interested in doing it, and it would serve, you know, a number of purposes that we are a bit lack of in the city of Oxford and in this area. So I'll be glad to answer any other questions that the board has regarding the Armory, but we are, you know, keeping it up. We are maintaining it. That's one of the objectives that I have for this potential project, is that if we can get it occupied, you know as well as I know that a building that is functioning, it has people in it, it is being utilized, is going to be better maintained than a vacant building. And so what we're trying to do is get it occupied, get it utilized, and have it still available for, you know, a potential long-term use, just like what we're talking about with the master plan for Parks and Recreation. As we grow, we want to have the Armory as another tool in the toolbox, but in the meantime, you know, have it utilized for a purpose that will benefit the entire community and really this entire region, if this does bear fruit.
Commissioner Bullock, since you raised the question, do you have any comments at this time?
Not at this time. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Any other members of the board? Anything, comments in response to this or anything else that the manager has said?
The manager also wants to say happy holidays, and I hope everybody has a great Christmas and Hanukkah. I think that starts Thursday. So
it does. Yeah. Thank you.
There you go. And I hope everybody enjoys it. I know it's going to be difficult. I'm going to miss getting to see, you know, my parents and my family and my extended family. Even my youngest son is not going to come home. So it's going to be a difficult season, but you know, we grin and bear while we await the vaccine. And it's going to be a different holiday, but I hope everybody can still, you know, enjoy their holiday this year. And honestly, knowing that is one of the reasons why we went forward with the parade, the lighting of the greens, you know, the event that we had the Saturday before, all the things that we're trying to continue to do while we adhere to the governor's executive orders and the CDC and the county health department's guidelines to give people some, some light and some at the end of the tunnel. We don't want to just completely shut down everything. Because by the time, we get around to even starting having some of our folks vaccinated, it's going to be a full year by the time this pandemic started. And that's a long time. That is a long time for people to essentially try to live in a cave. And I know it's been difficult for a lot of folks and creates a lot of issues and a lot of problems and a lot of stress. And we've been trying to do some things as best we possibly can to give people some light and some time out, even the mother's night out or ladies' night out, all those kind of things that we've tried to do and do them in a safe fashion. We've done that with that in mind. So hope everybody enjoyed those things, and hopefully next year we can get back to some kind of sense of normal where we're out there dancing in the parking lot and enjoying a beer or a glass of wine and all those kind of things like we have in the past, seeing our neighbors and seeing our friends. But we got to get there first. So hang in there. Happy holidays.
Thank you. Yes, it looks like Commissioner Bridges wants to say something else.
Yeah, I just wanted to, in terms of our retreat, are we thinking that that's going to be virtual, or are we trying to get together on a retreat? Just my humble opinion is, until the vaccine gets out there and, we get that on board, I'm not sure I'd feel comfortable with us all coming together for a retreat. Now, I don't know what the plan is, but I have some reservations about that. And the only other comment I want to make is, with that reverse parade, I think that is such a great idea that I don't believe we have to have a pandemic to occasionally do reverse parades. I think people like showing off their vehicles. I think people like bringing their dogs and having them look out the windows. And so I hope we'll do this reverse parade on other occasions, just because I think it's just such a great idea. Maybe we can have more participants on the road, and maybe it'll cover a couple of roads.
Okay.
I'll touch upon the topic of the retreat real quick, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I think we all have our reservations about gathering, with folks outside of our immediate family for an extended period of time. So the point is well taken. I think it would be good for us to come up with some way for us to have essentially a day together, if possible, and update the board on a number of things and get the board's input on, items that they want to address as we get close to budget season, which is, my most favorite season of the year. But it is nice to have those conversations with the board and with the staff in a bit more relaxed setting than our regular monthly meetings. So we'll be working on that. But, if it looks like February or so that we're going to do it, it likely will be virtual, because we will not all have the vaccine at that time. And even if you get it, it takes 2, 3, 4 weeks for you to actually build the antibodies that the vaccine provides.
Well, and there are 2 doses. So
depending on which one you get. Absolutely.
That's right. And I think it's going to be, I listened to a presentation last night by the health director and the medical director at the health department. And then, of course, the governor spoke today that the first doses are going to be geared all towards healthcare workers. And I think right now, North Carolina's allotment is 85,000 doses. And I don't know if that's single doses, meaning that can only serve 42,500 people, because each person needs 2 doses. So I think we're kind of down the line in terms of priority, because it's first healthcare workers, frontline workers, and then long-term care facility residents, I think. So we have a ways to go, but so I appreciate that comment, Commissioner. And I realized that I didn't add my thanks again to Chief Coley for an outstanding presentation and obviously very positive results with respect to crime. So we appreciate that. Strong Arm Baking is making jelly donuts this week in honor of Hanukkah. You do not need to be Jewish to eat a jelly donut. So they are also making brisket and chicken noodle soup for those ordering. And it looks like I probably missed my order, but anyway, you know, so they're going to have some yummy things that give a nod to Hanukkah, because they reach a lot further out than Granville County. They go down to Raleigh and Wake Forest and Hillsborough and Durham. But I bet they're going to have jelly donuts in the store to remind people about the miracle of the oil that burned for 8 days instead of 1. So with that, you all are very dear, and I know that we are hoping that this season of light, whatever your faith is, shines bright on each of your households and on those that you love, and all of those in our community, especially those that are struggling more than others. We hope that they will find God's grace and blessings. And I just hope that each of you stay safe and sound. And thanks again to a tremendous staff that's done just an outstanding job in these difficult times. So, a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Motion, I think that was Commissioner Tovey. And I will do the roll call. It looks like Mayor Pro Tem stepped off some time ago. And I know I didn't offer the attorney to say anything. Are you good, Tom? Yep, I'm not hearing you, but give me a thumbs up if all's good with you. Good. Okay, starting with my right to Commissioner Bullock, ready to adjourn?
Yes.
Commissioner Fields?
Yes.
Yeah. Commissioner Tovey?
Yes.
Commissioner Curran?
Yes.
Commissioner Gilreath?
Yes.
And Commissioner Bridges?
Yes.
Okay. Take care, one and all, and I hope to see you out and about. Be safe and sound.
Merry Christmas all. Merry Christmas
Merry
to all.
Christmas.
Happy holidays. Take care.
Merry Christmas.